So welcome to season 9 here on SB Happy Together. After going home for a long time, we flew back to Tahiti with my son and his fiance and did some scuba diving and spent about 3 days on the island. I was lucky enough to do an open mic night on the dock at a Rock the Dock party. It was a blast, and here you see me playing for the small crowd assembled there. After that, we decided to go out and cruise the Society Islands. We had more family flying in, but they were going to meet us in Bora Bora. So Parker and Michelle and Lenny and I headed to all the Society Islands, actually. We started here in Moorea, and then we cruised up to Huahine, which was a great overnight sail. And we visited Huahine for a few days, had some great restaurants, and then we cruised over to Raiatea. Raiatea is a beautiful island, and it's in the same lagoon as Taha. So we had some good sailing conditions to get over there, and we really just had time enjoying the boat and not being on passage. You know, it's a whole different world when you're just cruising around and snorkeling and scuba diving, and you'll see me here checking the anchor. This is something you got to do every time, and check this out. The anchor is just buried really deep there. Finally, the grandkids flew in. Not all of them. We were missing one of our families, but we had a wonderful time with Lindsay and Tyler and their 3 kids and our other granddaughter, Charlotte. And we just cruised around, jumped in the water. We rented them a bungalow and just had a wonderful time, as you can see here. And after the kids left, we took them to the airport and everybody left. And then it was time for Lenny and I to get the boat ready and head on the rest of our adventure to Tonga and eventually Fiji. It was a great trip. Love is this. Hey babe, what you doing down there?
Oh, I'm just sitting in the dirty, smelly anchor.
Wait, you're down in the anchor locker? How did you wedge yourself down in there? This thing doesn't look big enough for a human. What are you working on?
This doesn't work. Ah! This isn't gonna work. It doesn't stick. Everything's wet.
Well, our chain counter wasn't working. Turns out the sensor fell out of the bottom, and Lenny's in there trying to secure the sensor. True love, baby. I couldn't fit in there, and there's no other way to get in there. Starting to hike with Tava, our guide. Now we're hiking up toward the mountain in Bora Bora. All of these hiking trails are never used by the locals.
Ready? Action!
Action.
Let's go.
We're going somewhere. We even have the hats, babe.
Yeah, we're wearing the Indiana Jones. We're wearing the Indiana Jones hat. I just need a whip.
Wait, watch your hand.
Our tour guide here built this secret tunnel,
With my machete.
Yeah.
and he built a false trail so that anybody who comes up toward this trail, there's like a round trip that goes back to the other trail.
It's not amazing.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Come in my office.
Hey, Leonardo.
Hey, come here now.
Okay.
This is incredible.
Okay, you know what? This is my gift for you.
So there's 7
7 kings.
kings buried in this tree.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Look over here. Look how big this tree is.
The tree is crazy.
The tree's 1,600 years old. And it's like Avatar, the way they bury the kings in the tree.
Apparently Avatar is this tree. Wait, you gotta help me.
Look at this tree. So the kids are gone, and that always takes a day to kind of adjust because it's so fun to spend time with your kids and grandchildren and be in a magical place doing magical things. Also, the fact that we raised our kids in saltwater and they're raising their kids in saltwater, and all the awesome stuff that includes. And but now we're back to Lenny and I in cruise mode as usual, because we don't live on the boat. We have a clock. We need to be back for some events in late August. It's July 20th right now. The weather's not good for leaving right now, so we'll working with Chris Parker on that. And so we're gonna spend a couple days cruising around Taha and more PT and some of the other islands around Bora Bora. We've now been in Bora Bora about 11 days. Today was a work day. We worked until about 1 o'clock. And now we're gonna go have a nice lunch and do some snorkeling and settle into the cruising lifestyle. And we're off. Goodbye Bora Bora. We spent a couple of days getting fuel, doing some repairs. I had to replace the muffler on my generator. That was tricky because it's upside down and backwards. So it was one of those things that was literally 2 hose clamps and 4 bolts, but it took 3 hours to do it in a tight space upside down. That's boat repairs 101. And so now we've got another gorgeous day here in winter in French Polynesia. And Bora Bora is just a beautiful, beautiful island to look at. And we're sailing for the island of Taha, which is this one over here. And I think I mentioned we were supposed to leave for Tonga a couple days ago, but the weather is just really bad. And Chris Parker is just telling us, he's suggesting we wait 2 weeks until all these low pressure systems coming off of New Zealand settle down. So there's a lot of boats that are kind of holed up here waiting for their chance to do this final crossing of the Pacific to Tonga and then on to Fiji. So on this beautiful sailing day, we're sailing along at 9 knots. We've got 11 knots of wind. I've got the J0 up and a full main. And we've got full fuel tanks and the boat is just pumping. Very small swells, maybe 4 or 5 feet. Just a great sailing day.
All the good times that you say, are you feeling? You feeling that way too? Or am I just a fool? When the summer's gone, she'll be there, standing by the line. What she's been to where she's gonna do, she should know wrong from right. When she feeling, how you feeling? You feeling that way too? Or am I just a fool? A new road's waiting, you touch my life. Whoa, soft and warm on a summer's night. You're the only one I told you.
So this is day 4 of waiting for a weather window. So we left Bora Bora and headed over here to Taha. And we've been anchored here for a couple of days. And today we're headed down to Raiatea, which is that island right there. Taha and Raiatea share the same lagoon. So as you can see by the change of watercolor here, it's 100 feet deep there in the lagoon, and it's 10 feet deep here where we're anchored. And then, I don't know if you can see this, but the reef is right there, you know, just about, 400 or 500 yards that way. And then that's Bora Bora in the background. So we've been anchored here, did a couple great scuba dives yesterday. And today we're headed down to Raiatea and we're gonna rent a car and we're gonna tour that island, try to get some hiking in. The weather is absolutely gorgeous. It's hard to imagine that 400 miles away, the weather is terrible. 40 knots of wind and 15-foot waves. So all the boats that wanna head west to Tonga are stuck here. Like it's not a problem. But Lenny and I live on a schedule because we don't live on the boat. And we like it that way. We like going back and forth and all that. But now we've had to change plans at home because now this trip will end up being 60 days. We thought it was going to be about 45. But we did the math yesterday, and it turns out we've spent 61 days in French Polynesia so far. So for not living on the boat, that's a lot of time. And we've explored so many islands, all of the Windward Islands, many of the Leeward Islands. So it's just been absolutely wonderful, dream come true. 2 months in French Polynesia. And we're having a conversation with Chris Parker today at noon to find out when we can leave, because it might be another 10 days. So to be continued on that.
So we've been delayed for weather, and we're waiting for the weather, and it's just getting worse and worse to go to Tonga and Fiji. So right now we're gonna go into the docks. There's 2 marinas here in Raiatea that we've tried to call and been unsuccessful to see if there's a way to leave the boat here instead of having to go back to Tahiti. If we wanted to leave and come back and try this again in September. But we'll see. So here we go to check it out.
Lenny says we're gonna have to do a whole "this is what happened" situation video. So this is what happened.
The perils of not living on your boat.
So this weather that's been keeping us from departing for Tonga, we're now about a week late on our departure, and after all the weather routing with Chris Parker, it's another week or 2. And we've already toured all the Society Islands. We've done 21 dives. Like we've rented cars and driven around every island. And so rather than sit here and wait for 2 or 3 more weeks, we're gonna head back to Tahiti to fly home. And instead of having this trip be an August trip to get to Fiji, we're gonna do it in September. We're looking forward to it. So tonight we're doing an overnight and sailing back to Tahiti. And we've got good wind and waves that's favorable. And there's a big storm coming on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's why we gotta get back there now. So we love overnights and we're getting ready to do one. We're in Raiatea. So this is the island of Raiatea, and that's the airport right there. And there's a couple marinas here, but I went to these marinas yesterday and none of them can take our boat. Our boat is either too big or they're just full, and they're not really like big marinas. And so anyway, the only answer, there's no marina in Bora Bora, and we're not going to leave this boat on a mooring pole. It just doesn't work for us. So we're headed back to Tahiti and we'll fly out of there. So we're going to have a nice night in the ocean tonight, and we're looking forward to it. It was a little bit of a letdown today when we realized that this was the right decision for us, but it is what it is, and we're doing it.
Only one I love.